Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Tuesday show. So, today I've got an absolute ton. It's a hot mess in my area right now. I've got an absolute ton of items laid out in this whole general area right here. So, uh, I am sitting a whole lot further from the computer than I'd like. So, I might have to get up and bounce around from time to time. But we are only a couple of weeks away from bringing the LJN Wrestling Superstars to a close. So I've said, man, over these last few months, making this Tuesday show, first starting off with my favorite toy line, the greatest toy line ever, the WWF Hasbros of the 1990s, and then continuing on the Tuesday shows, moving on to the LJN Wrestling Superstars of the 1980s. This has been one of my most enjoyable, series that I've actually made over these last few years. And I'm going to continue the line going with the 1980s AWA Remcos. And I've been talking about it. I only think that's only going to last about 6 episodes or so. I'm probably going to still do the WCW Galoob because that's only going to be like 3 episodes, maybe even. Yeah, I'll probably stretch it out to about 3 episodes. And that'll probably finish out the Tuesday shows. Now, unless there's any viewers out there who want to see a particular line, but other than that, that's really the only thing that I have any interest in really making. So, but you guys see my collection. If there's anything that you want me to continue making, I mean, I'm all for it. I love this Tuesday show. Like it's the one video of the week that I really look forward to. Today's video is basically accessories, and it's basically a catch-all. Yes, it's accessories, but it's also all of the other different lines that LGN created. The first 6 or 7 videos, 8 videos, were looking at the biggest line, the 8-inch rubber figures, right? Then we moved on to the bendies, the 4-inch bendies. Then we moved on to the 4-inch thumb wrestlers. Now we're focusing on the wrestling rings. We're focusing on their accessories, such as the steel cage. Uh, there's one component here, additional accessory that's not made by LJN, but I still wanted to showcase it because I kind of like the graphics. And even though it's not LJN, it's still a fun item I want to include for this particular video. We're also going to look at some of the upscaled figures. We're going to look at some of the stretch wrestlers that I do have. I don't have a lot. And I've been picking those up over the last few months for this particular video. I've also been acquiring an absolute ton of wrestling video games, even into the 1990s. Yes, our focal point is 84 to 89. But because they're wrestling related, because they're made by LJN, or because they've got that LJN stamp, we are going to incorporate the wrestling video games as well into this video. So it is a pretty hefty video to go through. Um, where should we start? Where should we start? Well, let's knock Big Bubba out first. In 1985, you can't have wrestling figures without the wrestling ring. This thing is massive. I actually do have a couple of these babies on display. This one is, I guess, the big focal point right here when you come into the room. But right behind me, I do have another boxed LJN box set down there as well. So there are a couple different avenues you can see to find this box set. This thing is huge and awesome artwork throughout. And for the size of these 8-inch rubber figures, I mean, you have to have a huge ring and, of course, a huge box to go with it, right? But I like the fact that LJN did not shy away from the art and detail that went into this. Now there are collectors out there that pay top dollar just for the box itself. Like, who as a kid thinks that to look at the box and think that one day, like a cereal box, for example. Yes, as kids, like we sit at a kitchen table, we sit there, we eat the cereal, we read the back of the box, especially if it's got like comics on it or something. But you're not reading there, you're not like reading, eating Cocoa Puffs or Cinnamon Toast Crunch or something, and thinking like, hey, that 1988 Batman cereal box is going to be worth money one day or something like that, right? But hey, boxes, who knew? But this is a crazy fun one, and this is what I'm always talking about. Whether you're looking at the LJN carded figures, thumb wrestlers, bendies, even the wrestling ring, this right here, this is what it's all about. Always showing you the actual wrestlers. I like how they got the Iron Sheik kind of like wrapped up over here, all twirled in the ropes. Kind of like the same thing with Big John Studd. He's all like tied up in there. Anytime like you got like Andre the Giant, right? And I am assuming he does it himself. Like whenever he falls back into the ropes, he wraps his arms into the rope. It kind of like falls to the ground. So his opponent always sits there and starts pummeling him while he's sitting on the ground and he's tied up to the ropes. And then the referees or maybe Bobby Heenan or whoever is managing him. Again, Bobby Heenan most likely, but I usually see him in like yellow trunks or something like that. That's funny. I kind of remember him now. Whenever I picture Andre the Giant, getting tied up in ropes, like I have this image of him in yellow trunks. But I've always said I don't remember him in yellow trunks. Flashbacks. It's awesome. But yeah, I mean that was like a constant thing with him though. That's not like a one and done deal with Andre. So kind of seeing these guys kind of get twirled up in ropes, that's pretty awesome. Uh, so I've got probably, I don't know, one, two, three, I think three wrestling rings in this house. I just grabbed the one that wasn't in use. I mean, it's pretty beat up. It's not complete. I mean, it's missing, like some decals and stickers and stuff, but it was the easiest one to get to. I didn't want to pull all the other figures that I have, displayed inside the ring. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just grab this one. Plus, I was pulling all these other boxes down from over here. So I'm like, it's fine. This is the wrestling ring. And of course, it's got the WWF logo in the middle. And then it is stickered on all sides. Well, at least it's supposed to. Again, this one is not complete. They do actually sell ropes and turnbuckles and stuff, but I'm not doing anything with this. My buddy Kirk tells me that when he was a kid, he used to use this for like his Hasbro's. I'm like, yeah, I never had a wrestling ring when I was a kid. Like when I was young and I had my Hasbro figures and I played with like the Gloops and stuff. We didn't have a Hasbro wrestling ring. Like we used to sit at the desk and just play. Like imagine this was just a regular desk, and we would like pretend like there were ropes, and if we did elimination, just pretend like throw them over the ropes or something. That was our elimination. Like we never had an actual wrestling ring, so and kind of like getting the wrestling ring nowadays, right? Like the Hasbro's and the Mattel retro wrestling rings, and seeing those scale and stuff, I'm like, just trying to like hold the figures over the ropes. I'm like, this is very uncomfortable. And then I'm like, or try to put your hands through the ropes or underneath the ropes. I'm like, how did kids actually play? With the LJNs, because they're bigger, I'm like, maybe it's a little bit easier with the LJNs, but with the actual Hasbros, like the feel inside the ring was so uncomfortable. So yeah, like I don't think I would ever have even used the Hasbro wrestling ring if we ever had that as a kid. Um, as far as the LJN ring, maybe if I was a kid, maybe I would have made use out of one if I ever had one. But it just wasn't my era. Like I said, I was way too young for LJNs. By time LJN disbanded, by time Grand Toys disbanded, I mean I wasn't even in elementary school yet. I wasn't even in kindergarten yet. So now, 1986. 1986, they came out with additional accessories. The wrestling ring steel cage. The steel cage has this really beautiful long rectangular box. I've had opportunities to win that darn baby on auction, but that just the box with steel cage, that thing sell. I think the last time I saw it sell on auction went for like $250 or something. And I'm like, just for the cage, that's insane. Just for the boxing cage, I'm like, no. I'm like, I want it. At some point in my life, yes, I am going to get that sealed ring and box or the cage and box, but I will not pay $200+ back in time. But that does not mean I do not have the actual cage. And I'm lazy, and I didn't feel like taking all of these figures out of the cage, so I just grabbed the whole darn thing. I just don't want to take them out and have to re-put them all back in there. This thing is heavy. So, yeah, I'm going to probably get up and move this thing around, but steel cage accessory on the ring. Now, this one I probably should show because I think this one does have all stickers applied. Sorry, but my hands being in the way. Now, these things are just supposed to like snap right on all sides. I couldn't get it, to be honest, and it just shows you how terrible at things I am. Like I had to use like these little metal. I don't know what the heck these were. I think my wife took these like out of her sewing box or something. But I had to like wrap these things around to kind of keep these cages in place. But they're just supposed to like snap together and keep all of the ends together. But I couldn't keep it to stay in place. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna take these little metal pieces, wrap them around and keep them in place that way. But it works. It's fine. Um, yeah. And I'm getting this out of the way. £400 wrestling ring. Moving on to the fun stuff. 1986 still. This right here was not LJN. I still want to show it because it had to do with Hulk Hogan's Rock and Roll Wrestling, and because even though I got a lot of stuff to show off, I don't think this is going to go a whole hour, hour and a half. So I just think it's going to be a fun addition for this type of video that I'm making. And it is the official World Wrestling Federation Wrestling Superstars Jumbo Collector's Case. 1986. This one was made by a company called Terra Toy Corporation. Am I or do I store anything inside this? No. Like literally, this is purchased only, or this was purchased strictly for the sole purpose because it was wrestling related. And actually, I thought it was LJN. And of course, anything that's LJN related, I wanted it for the collection. But I mean, it does have, obviously awesome graphics and details. So just before, when I was looking this up real quick, I saw some at eBay had this listed for like $500. Stop it. This is not a $500 case. Okay. This could be brand new in its original packaging. It's not a $500 case. I mean, $75 maybe, but I think more realistically, probably $50. And if it's like a really beat up case, maybe you can get it for like $30 or something. But I don't know if people just simply don't know the value of it or don't understand the value of it. They just see something and they just or hear the wrong thing. And they just like, oh my god, I got a gold mine, or I don't know. It's just crazy. Let's see. I believe these were. I'm gonna backtrack. I think these were 1985 as well. So 1985, we got a good guy, we got a bad guy, and we had our upscaled 16-inch figures. Starting off with the immortal one himself, Hulk Hogan. So Hulk Hogan. Uh oh, did I do that? That sucks. I think I ruined my package at some point. Oh yeah, yeah. I think I ruined my package. This must have fallen over or something. This didn't have holes in it before. You know what happened? That's when I was doing my Black Card series. A lot of that stuff that was on top of my acrylic cases fell down. It probably busted into this. That sucks. Oh, you know what? I'm noticing that he's got a chain on here, but I don't think he's got a chain on my other pieces. But you're still continuing on with the awesome graphics. Yeah, see, he doesn't have a chain on this one. Trying to look at my third one, see if he's got a chain on that one. But these 16-inch figures, they got like one of the best championship belts. I mean, the artwork and detail that goes into the belts themselves is definitely on point, man. There are people that actually take, the 16-inch figures and actually customize them. And I've seen them create like Macho Man and create like Ultimate Warrior. I'm thinking because I've got a couple extras, extra Roddy Piper and extra Hulk Hogan, I might do that. Because in all honesty, all they gotta do is, to pop off the head and get a custom head, and the rest of the body should be relatively easy to repaint. I'll take a Macho Man and an Ultimate Warrior. That's freaking awesome. Or I could do characters that not everyone else has, right? Or what everyone else is getting or wants. Maybe Legion of Doom or the Rockers or something, right? Or I don't have to do a tag team. I could do someone like go crazy, like get like Giant Gonzalez or something like that. But these are pretty awesome pieces. I like these a lot. And then we got Roddy Piper. I should probably take this one out of the bag. Now, Roddy Piper is much more valuable than Hulk Hogan, and it has a lot to do with the skirt and belt. Reason I don't like this one inside the bag is because the bag has this darn writing on it, so you really can't make out the graphics a lot, really easy on the back. But I kept it bagged because I want to keep this protected as much as possible because of the value with it being, carded or whatnot, so or packaged. Plus, I mean, it does have some deficiencies. It's got like a deficiency right up here and something right up in here as well. So look at the detail on the hot rod writing at the top. That is so flawless. Roddy Piper. So, I mean, if it's just bare Roddy Piper without any clothing, I mean, he's probably what, $20, $30 maybe. With t-shirt, he could probably get you $50 if you're lucky. I mean, you throw on the kilt, maybe the kilt gets you with t-shirt and kilt, maybe you're up to about 100, 125, maybe even 150, possibly, depending on seller. I guess that also helps, right? But you throw in the full package, everything with the belt, right? 250 to $350 for a loose Roddy Piper. So I mean, this is freaking outstanding. This is like one of my favorite pieces. This is an absolutely awesome look. All right. What time we at? 22. Shoot. This video is going by a whole lot faster than I gave it credit for. So I was gonna probably do posters in its own individual video, but I don't know. I might do posters in this video, which means that if I do that, then that means next week would be the last video. No, I'll save posters for its own video. So next one up, I believe this was 1987, and we got Stretch Wrestler Junkyard Dog. Now these are pretty funky looking figures, right? But even though I didn't have these right, the thing is, I did have a Stretch Armstrong in the early '90s, early to mid '90s. Um, I don't remember what it was. I remember having a Stretch Armstrong, and there was like this brown dog. I don't remember his name, Fido or something. I don't know. But oh my god, that darn! What the heck was that darn dog's name? Rex, Rex Armstrong, maybe. Uh I really don't remember the dog's name, but I remember it was a brown dog, and it looked like a darn wiener dog. And I remember when that dog broke, like you stretch that dog enough, eventually it bust open. And I remember this darn gooey liquid started coming out of it. I remember I gave that dog that stupid dog a burial. I found like this long rectangular brown cardboard box, and I put the dog inside of it, and I just buried it like right in our front yard. I don't know why. Like I wasn't like emotionally attached to it or anything like that. It wasn't that serious. Uh, it's like when you're a kid and you're playing with your GI Joes or something, or when you go to like the dollar store and you get those that big giant clear bag of those little plastic toy soldiers, right? And there's like 100 of those little toy soldiers in there, and you get them for like $1. And you're just like out in the yard and you're playing toy soldiers or whatever, and you bury the soldier and stuff. It was kind of like something like that, but I don't remember what ever happened to Stretch Armstrong. I assume we just threw it in the garbage, but the dog, I remember burying him. So even though I don't really have a lot of attachments to stretch wrestlers because of Stretch Armstrong, I thought it was imperative or important that I at least get some of these because of some nostalgia that I have for stretch figures. And I gotta admit, I'm glad I got Junkyard Dog. This is because I think Junkyard Dog might actually have one of the best stretch wrestlers. He might actually have the number one best stretch wrestler. Aesthetically awesome, with collar and chain, perfect accessory attachment, and his overall look. I mean, this is absolutely insanely good. Cloth pants. I mean, this is a freaking mint figure. This is perfect. I don't want to stretch him out too much because, yeah, like I said, he's pretty minty, and I don't want to mess this up. But that is a beautiful, beautiful figure, man. That is fantastic. And then we got King Kong Bundy. So from the wrestling figure database, they say that King Kong Bundy had two figures, one with black boots, one with red boots. But it's odd because when you actually look at both pictures that they displayed, both pictures show him with black boots. So the description says red boots, but the picture above had him in black boots. So I'm like, is that just a typo, or did they just upload the wrong picture, or did he actually come with red boots? Or personally, I just think that they mistakenly thought that King Kong Bundy might have been George Steele because obviously George Steele comes with red boots. So that's my belief. But hey, maybe someone out there knows better than I do, and you guys can verify. Is there a King Kong Bundy with red boots? Because I don't know why. Why would King Kong Bundy ever wear red boots? Like I said, George Steele, the only one you're gonna see with red boots, right? So you're not gonna see King Kong Bundy with red boots. Stupid. I just think that was an error on the wrestling figure database on their part. Now there are some figures when you look at the stretch wrestlers that you're never gonna be able to get individually. Well, I'll never say never. I mean, if I pinch my pennies and then finally bring them together, some of the guys like Hogan and Macho Man, I mean, those guys are gonna go for $700 a piece, up to like $1,500 a piece. I think Macho Man maybe 4 months ago, 6 months ago, something like that, was on auction, and I think he only went for like $400. And I think he actually went for boxed Macho Man, and he was in awesome condition. I should have tried my damnedest to win that darn figure, but I don't know if I had any stretch wrestlers at the time, and if I didn't, that's probably why I didn't try to pay up for it. Now, if I had more stretch wrestlers, obviously I would have probably gone a little bit higher. But here's the thing: just because it sold for 400 doesn't mean that was the winning bidder's high price. I could have bid 800, and the high bidder could have been at like 1,500. It does. So that's the thing with auctions. You don't know what the other guy's high price is. Or he could have been at like 425. I could have come in at like 600, and he could have come in at last minute and outbid me. So, or I could have come in at like 600, been the high bidder, and I could have threw another bid at like for like 1200, and then this guy could have come in at the last second with a bid of like 3000 and outbid me. So again, just throwing out examples for the sake of argument. Yeah, King Kong Bundy. I don't think any of these figures were ever played with, man. I mean, look at them; they're all minty pieces. I don't think they were ever like even taken out of the box outside of like photographed and stuff like that. But as far as it being played with, I don't think so. So the legs like a little harder gelatin, but the body, the torso and whatnot, really squishy. The head is like super freaking hard, like a baby doll's head. So I don't like that part because it doesn't. I don't know. I don't like it. It's hard to keep the head, facing a certain direction that you want. But uh, next one up, we got Paul Orndorff. Oh, Paula. So it looks like this one was selling for $12 back in the day. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. Why does this look like the Orkin symbol? Hmm. Your stretch wrestler is filled with a safe and non-toxic powder formula. If under extreme abuse, it should tear. This safe powder may be easily swept or vacuumed away. So this is made out of a powder and not a gel. But like I said, man, that stretch wrestler that I had, the dog, I still don't remember his darn name. I mean, I'm gonna leave this video afterwards, and it's gonna come to me. Like the only names I can remember is like Rex or Fido or something, but like I don't even remember if that was his name or not. But like I said, it was like a gooey yellow gel type when he busted open. He that wasn't no any kind of powder or anything. Yeah, I think these faces. I mean, these are like human. When you look at the this is creepy. Uh, so they did a fantastic job with the heads of the stretch wrestlers, man. Yeah, at some point I am gonna try to complete this collection because these are amazing pieces. Hopefully, cause I have these sitting in my glass display case over here. Hopefully, I'll have enough room so that I can line them all up together. I don't know if I'll be able to fit 8 whole boxes on that one shelf though, but we shall see. And then this is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So 8 characters, of course. Um, we've looked at 4 of them: Ricky Steamboat, King Kong Bundy, Junkyard Dog and Paul Orndorff. I already know that Hulk Hogan is going to be extremely expensive because basically anything that's Hulk Hogan related is crazy expensive. Macho Man should be crazy expensive, probably in the $400 to $600 range. I think Hogan is probably going to be in the $700 to $1,200 range, maybe. Uh, so those two may price themselves out there. Maybe if I'm lucky, maybe I could get George Steele. Hopefully, but what kind of price are we looking at? $300, which might be doable. But if he's like 800, I mean, I basically everything I'm seeing is like in the high hundreds, nearing the $1,000 mark, and I don't want to pay that. Not for a darn stretch wrestler. I don't care how perfect they are. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, Roddy Piper. That's what I'm missing. Roddy Piper is the last one. Uh, he would be number 8. Roddy Piper. And hell, I think Roddy Piper is probably the most rare because I never see Roddy Piper. I see Hogan all the time, because it never sells. So, Hulk Hogan just sits there. But I don't ever see Roddy Piper thumb wrestler or stretch wrestlers. But so right now, I have 4 out of 8 of the stretch wrestlers. Will I get the last 4? Only time will tell. All right, so in all honesty, I put this video together and I tried putting as many of these together because I wanted to stretch this video out to about an hour. And video games. Whew. We're at 37 minutes, and I'm like, I might have to do the posters to stretch this to an hour, but I completely forgot about the video games. So we're gonna take one last look at Ricky Steamboat. All right. Uh, this was a claim, so we don't need to do that. Um, so in preparation for this video, obviously, basically anything that was LJN or made by LJN, anything that was LJN and wrestling superstar related, I wanted to try to incorporate as part of the series. So, and I'm like, you know what? Video games. Why the heck not? Now, maybe not necessarily wrestling superstar, but they're still LJN. So I'm like, you know what? Okay, it's still feasible. We could still include the video games. They're wrestling. They're LJN. We can make do. A lot of the video games we're gonna be looking at today, they're Super Nintendo, they're Sega Genesis, they're 1990s video games. So again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we're basically this series is mostly centered around 1984 to 1989. So these video games that are 1990 to 1995, that doesn't fit that mold, right? But they're still LJN esque. They're still wrestling related. So, for the purpose of this particular video and for this series, I still want to incorporate them. And if you guys have been following the channel over the last several days, I've been putting up 2 videos per day. Uh, the second video is the gameplay of the wrestling video games. And if I haven't had 2 videos up, then the video for the day has been the wrestling gameplay. And I've been trying to get those videos out so that I could have something to show you guys. Obviously, for nostalgia reasons, I'm not the most avid, video game player in the world. I don't play video games. It's not my thing. Hell, for the last 20 plus years, my game of choice for the original PlayStation is Major League Baseball. Is MLB 2004. We're in 2025. I still play MLB 2004 for the original PlayStation. That just shows you how set in my ways I am in regards to what type of video game I like to play. So when you sit down and watch me play my play these games. I'm not very good, obviously, but it's the intended purpose of those games are not to be the most gung ho avid game player in the world. It's just for the viewers to kind of relive childhood and whatnot. So and I obviously want you guys to kind of see what the games look like. Obviously prior to this video, I wasn't able to get out every single video game prior to the video, but I am still gonna make each video after this one post until all of those video games are complete. So, like I said, this right here, 1988 WrestleMania. This was a claim, so that one's not being incorporated. But make sure I got these in order. From LJN WrestleMania Challenge, which was an absolutely despicable game. And this is what's so bad about playing these games as an adult, because as a kid I freaking love this game. There is only what 6 players in this game, and I love this game as a kid. As an adult, I looked at it, I'm like, oh my god, this is one of the worst freaking games I've ever seen in my life. Horrible, horrible game. I wouldn't think a 4-year-old today would enjoy this. This was so freaking bad. But it it's memories. I had, and quite a number of these video games I already owned, but all I had was the cartridge. It was important to me to go back and buy the complete set, cover, cartridge, manual. If it came with a poster, perfect. That little disc, cassette cover. What do you call those little black cassette covers that say Nintendo on it? Those things. Flip cover. Is that what they're called? Anyways, or is this the slip cover? No, I think this is a slip cover, right? Anyways, not important. Uh, Terrible game. I was so miserable playing this. But WrestleMania Challenge, getting this though, and being able to make that video for you guys, it brought back memories. I mean, that was childhood right there. Hmm. No, this one had 6 players. I think this one might have had 8 players. Let's see, Hogan, Watchman 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Not important. Now this one I think had 10. Challenge had 10. Steel Cage Challenge. So 88, 90. I think this one was 1992. I had this game as a kid as well. And again, it was a fun game. 1992, right? 7 years old. Played the game, enjoyed it. There were a lot of fun characters in this game. IRS was a fun introduction. Sid Justice was a fun introduction. All of these games, you always get Macho Man, you always get Hulk Hogan. You got the chance to play Sid Justice, Mountie, IRS. That was fun. Your first introduction with The Undertaker and with Bret Hart. So, that was fun. I think this was like the second or third time you got to play with the $1 Million Man. So, Roddy Piper again. That's, to me, this was a hell of a roster. And you don't just do just regular in ring stuff to have an actual steel cage as well. But man, you're struggling like to figure out like how the hell do you climb those steel cage? And like most of the time, you don't even know how to pin anybody. So, or you get thrown out of the ring. It's like how the heck do you get back in the ring? So that's what's difficult about playing these games. But you want it for the collection. You want it for nostalgia. And then we closed out 1993's King of the Ring. Now, this was a game I never had as a kid. In fact, I didn't even know that this game existed until I started searching video games for this video. And I saw this for the first time ever. 1993 NES LJN King of the Ring. So when I put that game on and played it for you guys, that was literally the first time I ever played this game. Now, this has a hell of a roster. Now, once again, you have Macho Man and Hulk Hogan. You always have Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. Once again, you come out with Bret Hart, which is awesome, and Undertaker comes back again. You get Yokozuna, and one of my viewers, he let me know that this was the second time um, that you got to see Yokozuna as part of a video game. So I guess Super WrestleMania in 1991, I believe. No, not Super WrestleMania. Is it Raw or one of these video games? We'll get to it, but uh, there should be. I think it was Royal Rumble '93 was the first time that you saw Yokozuna, and then so that was Super Nintendo, and then later on in the year, like October, November, you saw the release of this video game on NES, and this was the second release. So I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks for the notice because I didn't know that. I was asking if this was like the first time that you ever saw Yokozuna, and thing is, like I think that when I think NES, I'm thinking, okay, if you got Super Nintendo, NES becomes obsolete. So, but when you're coming out with DVDs, that doesn't necessarily mean that VHS is obsolete, right? You're still coming out with VHS tapes even after DVD came out. So, same thing, Blu-ray. DVD doesn't just stop making, or movies don't stop making coming out in DVD format just because Blu-ray's out, right? So I don't know why I didn't think about that. I'm just But Lex Luger, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Bam Bam once again. I mean, gameplay was a little bit better, but still absolutely horrific. Pretty much any of these wrestling games on regular Nintendo were deplorable video games. Not recommended. This video game right here basically is a holy grail though among wrestling video games because of the sheer value and cost that went into purchasing this. Very expensive. Uh, all right, and of course, 1991's Super Nintendo. Sorry, nose is stuffy like crazy. Now, this was the first time I ever played this game. Is when I made the video, and this was crazy fun. And I had a feeling, man. Once we got away from regular Nintendo and into the upgraded systems, I had a feeling that Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis were going to start producing some really awesome games, and this was enjoyment. So, again, Hogan, Savage, you got to have your mega superstars, so they're always going to be available. I like the fact that this game had natural disasters and Legion of Doom, so you got yourself a couple of tag teams. Bring back Teddy DiBiase, you got to bring back Undertaker, a couple another key superstars, right? You add in Jake Roberts, think that was awesome. Bring back Sid Justice, who I think is actually probably the best player in the game, at least the one I had the most fun uh, playing with. So this was a really fun roster. Graphics really awesome. I actually think that this was very very. It reminded me a lot of the WrestleFest arcade game. Kind of like when you go to the arcade or if you go to like Pizza Hut. the arcade game that they had, that it that's what it reminded me of. So it made me very nostalgic for to play that actual video game. Of course, I've been wanting that WrestleFest game forever, but this was a nice compliment to that. And in the meantime, I this is something I feel like I will play again. So 1991. Gotta make sure I got the years right. My eyes are so darn terrible. 94. I think this one was 93. Where's the date at? My wife bought me this super huge magnifying glass with a light on it, and I'm like, thank you. That just tells you how bad my eyes have gotten. That I seriously need this huge magnifying glass now. Um, like I can't even read that anymore. That tells you how poor my eyesight has gotten. I think Royal Rumble was 93. I'm almost positive. I'm trying to see the darn copyright, but I or trademark, but I don't see the darn copyright on here. I think Raw was 94. I think Royal Rumble was 93. Give me a moment, guys. This is not helping at all. I need to get some damn bifocals. I'm not even joking, but uh, as of the filming of this video, I have not been able to play these games just yet. Uh, but later on today, I think Royal Rumble was 93. I think Raw was 94. And the arcade game was 95, definitely. Uh, in fact, I think I had all three of these video games. Not for Super Nintendo, but I had all of these video games for Sega Genesis. So I think this was 93, though. But so today for me is Sunday. And later on tonight, I am going to play and post this video game. So I haven't played it yet, but I could already tell graphic wise, this is going to be amazing. So I'm really looking forward to this. And I think this was the first introduction of Yokozuna in video game play, followed by the King of the Ring NES game. I'm looking at this, and there is no Hulk Hogan. No Hulk Hogan, but they got Macho Man, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Teddy DiBiase is back. They still have Mr. Perfect. They bring back Lex Luger, Undertaker, but I like some of the other additions. They add Ric Flair, they add Crush, which I think is awesome. Tatanka, I mean that's freaking awesome. That's the first time I've ever seen Tatanka. So I think I'm gonna start when I play this. I'm probably gonna start off with Tatanka, but Royal Rumble '94 Raw. I think Raw has Luna Vachon. Luna Vachon has got to be in one of these. I could have sworn Luna Vachon was in the Royal Rumble. Maybe she's in the Royal Rumble Sega Genesis because I kind of remember her. Um, I remember playing with her in a Rumble match, but I could be wrong. Again, I'm trying to go off of memory because I haven't played these yet. The last game I played as of the filming was the WrestleMania, so I really don't have much to talk about with the rest of these games. But I guess from this point forward, guys, just gonna have to watch the videos, the playthrough to actually see how these games play because I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna play Luna Vachon on this one. This looks badass. They got my boy Yoko back. Nope. Oh man, they got Diesel though. They got Diesel, 1, 2, 3 Kid, Doink. Oh hell yeah. Raw man, they did this one right. The freaking roster on this is killer. Uh Acclaim. So I guess I kind of knew that. The arcade game. This isn't LJN. This is Acclaim. So I guess I'm not gonna talk about this or do an immediate playthrough on this one because it's not LJN. You know what? I will do a playthrough on this video game, but it's not LJN. So and yeah, the rest of these are not LJN either. Super WrestleMania for Sega Genesis. Raw for Super Genesis for Sega Genesis. This is the one we had as a kid. Looks like their roster is much more packed. And Royal Rumble for Sega. Again, this is the one we had as this is what we had as kids. Yeah, see, Papa Shango, I remember having him, IRS, Rick Martel, yep. So I remember having Hulk Hogan. So so Hulk Hogan is not in the Super Nintendo Royal Rumble, but he is in the Sega Genesis Royal Rumble. Sega Genesis adds Papa Shango, but Super Nintendo has Ric Flair. Sega Genesis has Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Super Nintendo has Tatanka. Super Nintendo has Mr. Perfect. Sega Genesis has IRS. Well, that's kind of stupid. That I guess if you're a fan and you got both systems, you basically gotta buy both video games just to get the different, just to unlock different characters. Well, maybe that is what maybe that is what they're thinking by doing that, but I don't know. But what if you're I think that's still kind of crummy because not everybody had Sega Genesis and not everybody had Super Nintendo, right? So why not just put all of the characters that they just had right there in one video in both video games, so that a kid or a fan could enjoy all of the characters. But anyways, guys, we have actually reached the 1 hour limit. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Next week we will do the posters, and that won't take long, man. That might be 30 to 45 minutes, and we're gonna follow up the following week with the prototypes and the variants, and that's gonna close out the LJN videos. Uh, whether or not I have all of my variants or prototypes on hand or not is irrelevant. If I have them, if I don't get all the figures in on time, so be it. I will make do with what I have on hand already. But with that being said, guys, I will close out the show here. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.